Primarily, the Bahamas is about sun, sand, and sea. We are by nature very small. We have limited resources. We are remote. In the Bahamas, and in a lot of small island developing states, where we are not responsible for emissions. However, we feel them. We are affected by, of course, rising sea levels, but hurricanes on an annual basis, and during hurricane season, perhaps on a monthly basis. In 2019, after Hurricane Dorian, we experienced $3.4 billion worth of damage, and that equaled 1/4 of our GDP. We've got to come up with solutions. My name is Paul Andrew Gomez, High Commissioner from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to the Court of St. James's and Northern Ireland. I'm a businessman and a chartered accountant by profession, and tourism is our #1 industry, and of course followed by financial services. The Bahamas is an archipelago, and we have 700 islands stretching from the east of Florida down almost to Cuba. The intensity of these storms and hurricanes, they are increasing year after year, and it's becoming a major problem. And those disasters are negatively impacting economies. We see in certain areas that are not as affluent as others, hurricanes that have impacted those areas years ago, and where there were shortages of resources to rebuild, they're still there. Our #1 industry would be, in most small island developing states, would be tourism. If it impacted negatively, affects the whole country. The private sector is essentially profit-driven, and if the economies are negatively impacted by the changes in the climate, their profits will be down. Therefore, it is important for the tourism sector to partner with the government to come up with the best solutions possible to address climate change. How can finance accelerate things? An investment in nature is a fantastic investment in an area that is impacted by climate change. And therefore, it is very, very important for small island developing nations to come up with programs and projects that are sustainable, that are profitable and attractive to international financiers. We've got to be very specific, and that means identifying what our assets are and making sure that we monetize them. And then companies can determine what types of projects they want to get involved in. From nature-based projects, the private sector has a significant role to play. In the Bahamas, we are very proactive. Bahamas has the largest area in the world of seagrass beds. Seagrass beds have been found to sequester more carbon than the Amazon rainforest per acre. And they also play a key role in protecting marine life, stabilizing the seafloor. They are so valuable to the Bahamas because of the role that they play in mitigating climate change. There are significant programs in place implemented by the government and also by private companies to protect the seagrass meadows in the Bahamas. And that is being monetized in terms of carbon credits. And the government believes that we can collect annually about $300 million. And so that puts a valuation on the seagrass beds at about $50 billion. We believe that with this added income, we'll be able to address some of our issues. So from our natural resources, we would be able to react quickly and manage natural disasters a lot better. The youth represent the future. And it's important today to empower the youth and to give them tools that are necessary for them to improve their respective countries. The Commonwealth Secretariat, in collaboration with Cambridge University, have come up with a product called Compass. It attempts to provide small island developing states with financing so that they are less reliant on major lending institutions to come up with solutions to combat climate change. And therefore, what Compass is designed to do is to provide funding to youth because they represent as high as 70% of the populations in small island developing states. It provides a pathway to international funding in a very efficient way in terms of small island developing states partnering and coming up with solutions, sharing resources, and then it de-risks projects. And I think it's a very, very progressive plan to help small island developing states and very, very innovative. One of the major barriers is that, and obstacles would be that countries that are participating in negative practices are not being held accountable, and in many instances, funds that they have promised to contribute to assisting small island developing nations, they are not contributing those funds. And therefore, there's got to be collaboration. They have to do the things necessary to control emissions, to participate with the government in programs that promote the climate or climate change policies and invest in them. I think the fact that we're here today, when we talk about progress, that we are discussing the issues related to climate, I think that's a wonderful start. I think the Bahamas has a lot of resources. And I think that as long as we're able to put in place plans for the future, and once we're able to look at every aspect of Bahamian life, including how climate change affects the Bahamas, then that is in train now. That's happening. So that gives me hope for the future.